point out that the sun shines down its power to all the world and makes the wind blow strong as it will. I wonder how gentle rains can fall upon the land, so lovely earth can stay lovely still.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 659th edition of Energy Week with George Harvey, me, and the amazing Nancy Wolf.
Oh, thank you.
I've taken that too far down. We're talking about news about energy and climate change. The news items that we're going to be talking about start on the 15th of January, and they run up until the 21st. These items are at my blog, geoharvey.com, geoharvey.com. If you scroll around on the beginning of this, you'll probably find, or might find, a link to a tiny URL, Energy Week 659, which will take you to a site that has just the items that we're talking about, a picture for each one. The picture you see, the title, the synopsis, and the link. So if you want to, there are two ways to get to these articles. And I guess that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Let's get started.
Let's go. We have here a picture of Dr. Toby Kears.
Yeah, this is from Euronews. We've neglected the power of carbon-sucking fungi. Meet the scientists determined to change that.
Yes, an invisible key to tackling the climate crisis was highlighted when biologist Dr. Toby Kears won a Tyler Prize. Tyler Prize, by the way, is said to be the equivalent of a Nobel Prize in environmental studies. She said mycorrhizal fungi draw down 13 billion tons of carbon dioxide into soil systems every year. That is a third of the emissions from fossil fuels. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
But the interesting thing about this is almost none of that is drawn down into plowed fields. So if we can push agricultural processes that don't involve plowing, we could have a huge amount of carbon drawdown just as a result of that one action, which would, by the way, mean that glyphosate would not be used because they don't mix.
I see.
The other thing is, if we can eliminate clear cutting of forests, that would eliminate the loss of these mycorrhizal fungi. And we had, in our garden at home, we took a delivery of chipped branches of a maple tree that was being taken down across the street. And my landlady went over and asked the guys who were chipping this stuff if they could give her some of it. And they said, would you be interested in taking all of it? And she said, sure. So we got about 2 tons of this stuff. And when that was used as mulch, it produced, it encouraged a mycorrhizal fungus to grow. There were 2 fungi, but one of them was what is called a slime mold, which is not really fungi at all. But this particular one has the very attractive name of dog vomit slime.
That's a winner.
That's a winner. The other one was Winecap stropharia, which, if you get it small, and small is like that, is really delicious, and it's super easy to identify. There's a couple of characteristics that make it completely unlike anything else. So you get it, and it was growing everywhere. Mm-hmm. We had multiple pounds of this stuff. Okay, I'm gonna go on, I think. But congratulations to Dr. Toby Kears.
Oh, yes. So this is from Clean Technica.
Yes.
Coal-powered thermal generation declines in China and India, but surges in U.S.
Well, before I read the synopsis, I should say surges doesn't really mean surges. It means it grows by a couple percent, which is not what I would call surges. Carbon Brief reports that the use of coal to generate electricity fell in both China and India in 2025. It is the first simultaneous reduction in annual use of coal. Use of coal for generating electricity fell in India by 3% year on year, and in China by 1.6%. It grew in the United States because of something that we will see later in this. Mm-hmm. Okay, should I go on?
Yeah, let's go on.
Okay. We have a picture of hydropower.
Oh, yes, we do. And this is from Clean Technica.
Yes.
The coal-killing combo of hydropower and battery energy storage systems, brought to you by President Trump.
Well, how about that? He did something useful. Trump has given hydropower presidentially preferred treatment along with coal and other fossil fuels. Now, a Department of Energy report outlines the economic benefits of adding battery energy storage systems to hydropower facilities. Now, I wouldn't have guessed this, but and the amount that they say is really useful is just 2 hours, which means if you have a 50 megawatt dam, adding just 2 times hours, which makes it from 50 to 100 megawatt hours, or two hours of battery, which, you know, you're not going to get the battery run down at the full amount for 2 hours. But it means that if you have to stop the dam for part of the night, you can do it, or part of the day for that matter, you can do it and rely on the battery for a short time, you know, just to fix whatever needs to be fixed or do whatever needs to be done. Fascinating. At least that's what I thought.
Well, yeah, and look, I think when he doesn't understand something and it's got some fun words in it, you just never know what's going to happen. You just never know. He may not know what hydropower is. But well, yet it has the word power in it and hydro. And it's could be like, ooh, very powerful.
Yeah. Well,
hydro power.
It's been around since he was a little boy, you know. Mm-hmm. And he and I are almost the same age. I'm 2 months younger. Maybe, you know, that's, I don't know. But this stuff has been around. Hydropower has been around a long time. And it goes back to the Niagara Falls project, which was one of the first energy projects in the United States. And we're talking about before the turn of the 20th century. So it's been around for a long time, and hydropower tends to be pretty steady if you want to run it that way. Although in the West, it's kind of failing. You know, the Colorado River is not producing as much electricity as it used to.
Yeah.
Lake Mead and so forth. Okay, we're up to Friday, January 16th. We have a picture of the Empire. We have a picture of Empire Wind construction. I don't see that.
It says Empire Wind on the side of that boat.
It does, that's right.
It does.
Do you know what the difference between a boat and a ship is?
No. I just call boats ships and ships boats.
I think this is actually a boat.
Okay.
A ship has boats on it.
Ah, okay.
If it doesn't have a boat on it, it's not a ship.
Ah, okay.
Submarines are boats. I
okay.
would call them ships, but what do I know? Okay.
Okay, well, this is from ABC News.
Yes.
And the headline is Judge hands offshore wind another victory against Trump, clearing way for New York project.
A federal judge cleared the way for Empire Wind Project to resume construction. District Judge Carl J. Nichols, a Trump appointee, ruled construction could go ahead while he considers the merits of the federal order to suspend the project. This is the third of these projects, and I don't remember. It might be that Empire Wind was the one that only had one turbine that had to be added to bring it to completion. But, I mean, when the Department of Energy said that they were closing these things down, and there were two of them open before our show last week, they said it was for security, but they didn't explain what about security had to be done. And the only security issue I'm aware of was that they were concerned about radar not working amid these, spinning turbines with the blades. But there have been studies that have been done in the UK in which they were actually able to use radar to track a single seagull flying through an offshore wind project. That's how good radar has got.
Yeah.
And these, and the birds know that you don't want to get involved in these turbines. It's true that the turbines have killed some birds, but not all that many. Not as many as fossil fuels kill.
Right. And that kills everybody.
It does. I hadn't thought about that. But it certainly, I've seen a couple of studies that were done relative to the number of deaths from air pollution in Vermont. Vermont air pollution comes from basically a couple of sources, although burning wood is one of the things that causes problems. But most of the air pollution in Vermont is from cars that we drive in Vermont, because Vermonters drive a lot, because we're 100% of Vermont, including downtown Burlington, is rural. That's how it's classified by the USDA.
Right.
And then we have carbon dioxide and other things floating into the state from other states.
Yes.
And and I don't remember which of these was which. I remember one of these studies came from MIT. The other one, I don't remember where it was, but one of the studies said it was 250 people per year killed by pollution in Vermont. And the other one said something like 325. So we're having almost one person a day die early because of pollution of the air.
Yes.
And that's what we're trying to tackle. And one of the things is dealing with air pollution and to a certain extent water pollution. If you deal with these things and reduce sickness and death due to pollution, you are going to reduce emissions for climate change and vice versa. So
you can do it all, folks.
You can do it all.
You can do
That's
it all.
right. That's
Absolutely.
right. And you can eat the mushrooms.
You can. You can do
Okay. Next, we have just a picture of the ocean.
Yes, we do. And this is from ABC News.
Yes.
The headline here is damage to the ocean nearly doubles economic cost of climate change. New study finds.
I don't know
How
why
surprising.
we haven't seen studies about this before, but I think it had to occur to somebody that you could do a study.
Yeah.
Before, certainly people had to realize that was the case before they started doing studies. Scientists have factored damage to the ocean into social cost of carbon for the first time, finding it nearly doubles the economic impact of climate change. Nearly doubles. It's not a big surprise when you consider that most of the planet is covered by water.
Yeah. It's very blue. When you look at that Earth
Yes,
See?
it's very,
very
blue.
blue.
Absolutely.
Very blue.
The additional cost of $46.20 per ton of carbon dioxide brings the total to $97.02. So, and 20 cents. So previously, the cost of carbon dioxide was thought to be $51, but they're adding $46.20 to this. So it's a big deal. And by the way, there was a story in the news today which dealt with that because it addressed an increase in the amount of seaweed that is growing as the oceans get carbonated and hot. And this is just a kind of a self-cleansing mechanism that is coming along as climate change progresses. So it could be a lot better, but it could be a lot worse.
Yes.
Okay. We have this. This is the Comanche generating station. I don't even know if that's open anymore. But
Well, this is from Clean Technica.
yes.
And the headline is Trump redirects pollution control funding to prop up more polluting coal plants.
Yeah, isn't that smart of him? The Trump administration, I would be a bad president. I don't think I'd be a good president, but I think it's possible I could be a lot better than Donald Trump. Don't tell him I said that.
You got 2 months earlier. Hey.
Yeah, that's right. The Trump administration will use funds legally directed by Congress instead to reduce pollution, to help build new and prop up aging, expensive, polluting coal plants. Politico reported utilities retired 158 coal plants over the last 10 years due to their high cost. They didn't add any new coal plants in the last 10 years. There's a reason, and that is because coal is expensive. Mm-hmm. Donald Trump, however, thinks that he knows things, and he doesn't learn because he thinks he already knows.
Yes.
Yeah, and if you tell him that maybe he's wrong, I kind of suspect he doesn't.
Might bomb you or something.
Yeah, well, yeah. I don't know. I'm not interested in finding out what he would do.
No, I would not.
But,
I'm not interested either in finding out what he would do.
I can say things about the climate that disagree with him because almost with impunity because I'm not important enough to pay attention to. So there you go. Okay, we're up to Saturday, January 17th, and we have a construction going on CVOW, and we will find out what that stands for.
Yes, and this is from ReNews.
Yeah.
So the headline here is U.S. court allows CVOW work to resume.
U.S. District Court from the Eastern District of Virginia granted a preliminary injunction to allow Dominion Energy to resume work on the 2,600 megawatt, that's 2.6 gigawatts, Coastal Virginia Offshore Wind Project, which is what CVOW stands for. Dominion Energy said its team will now focus on safely restarting CVOW to ensure that energy is delivered within weeks. Now, unlike the other offshore wind projects that were shut down, Coastal Virginia Offshore Wind Project, it was Dominion Energy itself that sued the Trump administration. Mm-hmm. In the other ones, if the utility sued, the state also sued. So, but it looks to me like there was legally no justification for the Trump administration to shut these things down.
Yes, that's generally the case. Most of these, that's generally the case.
And
yes.
And so, the court system and a couple of the judges involved in these things, or at least one of them, was a Trump appointee. And that's what's happening in a lot of cases where the Trump administration is taken to court, is that Trump appointees decide things against Trump.
Because they are judges.
They're supposed to be. And I mean, we do have at least one judge who I think did something that was unconscionable, favoring Donald Trump, and that was the woman in Florida who threw out that thing about, I mean, he had, 104 boxes? These are big boxes like this, full of classified
Yes, classified. Yes.
stuff. And that was all, under the law, that was stolen. You know, I'm sorry.
You know, he just wanted to take them home.
Well, he said they were his.
His new coats. His. Okay. His.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know what to do about that. I'd rather look at this whale, though.
I'd rather look at this whale.
This is a blue whale. And I think of the blue whale is the largest animal ever, including dinosaurs.
Well, this is from Euronews, and the headline here is Historic High Seas Treaty Comes into Force. But is it enough to save our oceans?
Yeah. Well, I don't know how the United States is going to deal with this treaty. We're a party to it, but that doesn't mean that we will be for long. Covering almost half the planet, the high seas lie beyond national borders. The high seas are outside of the borders of countries. And I forget what the distance was. When I was a kid, it was 3 miles. But now it's 12 miles. And in some cases, countries are claiming 200 miles. But these are areas that are not claimed by anybody.
Oh, yeah. This is when you go out and it's when you're, what's the phrase?
Well, you're outside the territorial limits.
There's a phrase that I'm not remembering right now.
Okay.
That is international waters.
International waters. There you go.
International waters. There you go.
You go. Yeah. Until now, there was no legal framework dedicated to protecting biodiversity in these waters and ensuring the benefits of their resources were shared fairly among the nations. And, you know, we've been developing these frameworks. Like if you look at a map of Antarctica, you can see the area that is controlled by Norway, which is at the other end of the planet, you know, and so forth. But this is the water. The question is, are we going to be able to actually protect the animals and plants that live in these? Now, fungi, by the way, are not animals and not plants. And this is something that's different than it was when I was in high school. So I don't know if they protect fungi in these areas.
Well, fungi protects a lot. Fungi clean things too.
Fungi are amazing.
Amazing.
They really are.
Absolutely amazing. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Our next item is a jack. This is a picture of a jack-up vessel. That is probably a ship. It might be a boat, but it's big enough to be a ship. It's hard to imagine that it's not a ship. I mean, it might not have a boat on it, but it certainly has a helicopter landing area.
That's true.
But it's jacked up. That's what they do.
They jack it up. So this is from Renews.
Yeah.
The headline here is Fraunhofer, IWES, behind offshore assessment tool.
The WindScore project has been launched to develop a 360-degree evaluation system for offshore wind projects over the next 3 years. Fraunhofer, IWES, said the European Union-backed initiative will create a scientifically based toolbox covering a number of criteria to support investors and stakeholders. Did you understand that? I'm reading this and I'm saying, what does this mean?
So 360-degree evaluation would mean like receiving feedback from everybody, every single party.
I think that's what it means.
That's what that means. Yeah. I know that from the from the strategic retreat last week. I learned what a 360-degree evaluation was. So I come with that knowledge. The other thing is they're talking about a toolbox to support investors and stakeholders. I am confused about that.
Why?
Why am I confused
Yeah.
about the toolbox covering a number of criteria to support investors and stakeholders? How is the toolbox going to help investors?
Well, investors can use stakeholders don't even have any money in the game.
No.
An investor is a stakeholder
Yes.
until they make the investment. So they could use this to decide to be an investor,
Right.
and once they've done that, they can use it to.
So, okay.
Yeah,
So
we are up to Sunday, January 18th. That somehow reminds me of a road that was near a place that I lived in Illinois when I was a little kid.
I see. Well, this is from Clean Technica.
Oh, okay.
And the headline here is Data Center Energy Demand Provokes Federal Response.
According to Bloomberg, the administration and several state governors will direct PJM. Now, PJM is an independent system operator, and it's the largest one in the United States. They are directing PJM to hold an auction for tech companies to bid on 15-year contracts for new electricity generating capacity. PJM was not consulted in this, so this came to them as a surprise, and the auction reportedly favors fossil fuels and nuclear power. Mm-hmm. Now, well, there is more to this than meets the eye, and I think, in the next story we're going to be talking more about this. So I'm gonna get into that when we go to the next story. Mm-hmm. I think I should go right now.
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, this is a coal-burning power plant.
Yeah, so this is from Canary Media. And the headline here is Trump's plan to make data centers pay for power plants has big flaws.
Yeah, well, this is what the source of this PJM thing. The National Energy Dominance Council. I don't think I'd want to be what would you say if somebody said, "What do you do for a living?" And you're for a living, you're in the field of energy dominance. This is bizarre. And some governors of PJM states released an agreement that presses PJM to speed up construction of over $15 billion worth of baseload power plants. Baseload. Making data centers pay, quote, whether they show up and use the power or not. Do they really want
to waste power?
Well,
Waste. This looks like waste to me. This sounds like waste.
It's worse than that. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, that you wanted to have a data center. Mm-hmm. And you can put it in the PJM, which is New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, all the way out to Chicago. And it's from Pennsylvania to, I forget, Virginia. It's a huge area. And you're told that you have to pay for the plant that's going to provide you with power, and that is something that you have to do whether you use the power or not. Now, this is like saying you want to buy a house, you're going to have to pay for that, for the fuel for the house for the next 15 years if you're going to buy that house, regardless of whether the sales goes through or whatever. Would you would you pay money for the power you're going to get over the next 15 years when an alternative might be to put the data center in Bermuda?
I'm just saying, we did have the Cold War.
Yeah.
So that's a period. There's a period of time when we did those things.
Yeah.
And there are consequences of doing those things.
Yes.
We don't need to do those things continuously and keep ourselves in a bad situation.
This is like saying to companies that want to build
Actual power?
data centers. We don't want you to build a data center.
Well, we also
in the
don't want
United
you to build a
States.
data center, so don't
Yeah.
do that anyway.
Yeah.
Stop that.
Build them someplace else. Build them in Canada. Build them in Mexico. And in fact, build them in Greenland. You'd hire a bunch of people at wages that are a multiple of what they're working for now.
Yes.
You know, if you were in Greenland and you made, I'm just going to say, I don't know, $15,000 a year fishing in cold water, would you be willing to take a $45,000 a year job sweeping a data center? I think you would. So, you know, I think the people in Greenland would say, yeah, we can have data centers here. We just have to keep Donald Trump out.
Yeah. That's the one
Okay.
hope.
We are up to, this is also Canary Media.
Yeah. So this is, again, PJM's power-starved grid will get a big battery.
You get these big batteries, you don't need the baseload power.
I mean, yes.
Donald Trump has a habit of appointing people to positions that they are not qualified for.
Correct.
And they make decisions that a qualified person would not make.
Would not make. And that's why they are hired for the job.
Yeah. Have you been following this thing about Lindsay Halligan?
I've been following.
She was made the Attorney General for the Eastern District of Virginia. She had never been involved in a court case before. She was an attorney, but she had never been, and she's the Attorney General. And she was the person who brought this case against Comer and another case against I don't know. And she was thrown out of that position like 2 or 3 months ago. And her title is still on the letterhead, and she's still signing things. And finally, a judge the other day said, okay, if this doesn't stop, everybody whose name is on this is going to be brought before a commission that is going to determine whether or not your law license is going to be revoked. Mm-hmm. And that included Pam Bondi.
Yeah.
I mean,
that she has a law license is okay.
Pamela Bondi, I don't think was qualified to be Attorney General of the United States, let alone Florida, you know, or maybe I've got that in reverse. She was, I think, the Attorney General of Florida.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's, yes. Yeah.
Okay. All right, we should go ahead, I think.
Mm-hmm.
We're up to Monday, January 19th, and we have a picture of a speed skater.
Yes, we do. So this is from Euronews. Beat the athletes calling out the 2026 Winter Olympics polluting sponsors.
That's interesting, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
I don't know what they're going to do about that. I think in the past, if athletes had said to people in the news, by the way, you know, XYZ is sponsoring the Olympics, but don't buy their product, it would very possibly have got them kicked out of the Olympics.
Well, there's 1968. There's Olympics where athletes have had to stick their neck out and do something when.
Now you're not ringing any bells in my head.
Okay. Muhammad Ali.
Oh dear. Continue, please.
I mean, people who felt the need to speak out against discrimination, racial discrimination, amid sending people to Vietnam.
Yes.
So there were these athletes that were making a stand saying, hey, you can't treat me like this at home if you're going to send me out to war.
Yes.
And there is a history of it and a good.
Yeah.
And this is, and you know, if they start quoting Greta, then you know, hey, it's all over. It's all over. Start quoting Greta.
During the Second World War, a lot of ships in the U.S. Navy had black sailors on them.
Yes.
1 or 2 per ship, and they were always the cooks.
Yep.
I mean, this is what and you take the Tuskegee Air Group. Mm-hmm. Are you familiar with that?
I'm familiar with that.
This is just for viewers who don't know. The Tuskegee Air Group was trained at the Tuskegee Institute, which had been the place where Booker T. Washington and George Washington Carver, who,
yes.
by the way, was kind of a hero of mine when I was in 4th grade. These guys went through that. They became fighter pilots, and they were the most effective fighter pilots in the European theater. I mean, it's just, and you know, if you watch a movie about them, you'll see guys who were saved by those guys who had their tail was painted red, and they wanted to go to the base and say, "Thank you, you saved my life." And they get there and discover that these guys are all black. I don't know. Anyway, we have to deal with this.
Yes.
So you've read the title, right?
Yeah, I have.
The 2026 Winter Olympics faces growing pressure over a trio of polluting sponsors. Just 3 of them. We're allowed to say bad things about them. Scientists and athletes have joined forces ahead of the Games, which will be held in Italy, to highlight how deals with huge corporations are making its carbon footprint unacceptable.
Unacceptable.
Yeah. There you go.
There we go.
Okay.
Let's go on.
Yes, we have. I always love these pictures of the ocean with clouds above.
Well, this is from Clean Technica.
Yes.
Geoengineering the ocean. What could possibly go wrong?
What could go wrong?
What could go wrong?
Fortunately, much of the ocean has been protected. Yeah, a study published in the journal Advancing Earth and Space Sciences on January 14th, a team of researchers examined all the current geoengineering proposal, to assess what their impact on the ocean would be. Every strategy has risks and rewards, and they have to be understood.
They won't be understood, by the way. Geoengineering is one of those things that a lot of people do not understand, but always cite.
Good. I don't think they understand it either.
No, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
They don't know it, but they don't understand it, and they cite it because it's fun.
It's fun.
To cite things that...
I have talked to people about geoengineering, and some of the stuff that people object to is really objectionable. Some of it is not. And some of it is stuff that I think we should be doing. Now, for example, coral reefs are in trouble.
Yes.
But they don't have to be. And our scientists are working on adjusting them for a bunch of reasons. But that is a type of geoengineering as I see it.
Right, not shooting a gun to the clouds. There's that one.
Shooting
People
the gun
who have
to
like this gun they're going to shoot up into the clouds to bring down the carbon.
You remind me of an old man I knew when I was young. Okay. And he said that when he was young, which probably would have been about 1920, there were a couple of guys in the town that he lived in, which was a suburb of Philadelphia, and they were cranks. And one of them happened to own a cannon. So they dug a hole, and they put the cannon in the hole, pointing straight up. And they put in a mess of gunpowder, and then they put on top of the gunpowder a mess of nails, with the idea that they were going to end the current drought by shooting the clouds full of nails.
Yeah.
So they lit this. The cannon had far too much gunpowder in it, so it blew up, which hurt them all somewhat.
Yeah.
But nails were falling all over town.
Why did they put? I just don't understand why they put the nails in there.
They thought they were going to punch holes in the clouds.
Right,
This
right.
is
Yes, right.
intelligent geoengineering.
Right.
Yeah.
There you go.
This is also an area that I feel like I know something about, because I've actually on two occasions worked in chemical plants where I manufactured aerosols that were, in one case, there's a famous, well, it's not all that famous, but there is a conspiracy theory about an aerosol that was let loose in the subway system in New York to find out what would happen, how effectively a terrorist group could spread disease.
Yes.
And the people who talk about this talk about that aerosol as testing disease bacteria or viruses or something on people to find out how many were getting sick. And I can tell you, there wasn't anything in it that was alive. What they were actually spreading was fluors, which are chemicals that glow after they're exposed to UV light. And if they could detect that by putting out UV light and finding that something glows that color, and I actually made this stuff in a room where I wasn't protected with a face mask.
No.
People get, and the other thing was silver iodide, which was a couple thousand pounds of silver iodide, 2,000 specifically, I think. No, it was 1,000 pounds of silver iodide, which was made specifically for seeding clouds. And silver iodide is one of the least soluble substances known to man. So it is basically a substance that's really hard to break down. So even if you had it, it would be hard to treat it chemically to have something happen. Again, you can handle this without fear of toxicity or something like that. It's spread in minute quantities inside clouds. So when you look up and you see a contrail, that's not silver iodide. Now, there may be something else in a contrail that you don't want there, but we don't want contrails because they do reflect light back to the earth and make climate change worse.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we have to move on.
Yes, we do.
We have a picture of a Ford Mustang here.
That we do. So this is from Clear Technica. The headline here is EV sales drop 2% in 2025, but up 162% from 2021.
As we expected, the fourth quarter United States EV sales don't look great. Sales dropped a ton from the in the fourth quarter after Republicans killed the $7,500 U.S. EV tax credit. By the way, there were specific brands that had increases in sales anyway.
Yeah.
And I think it was Cadillac was one of them. Not Tesla, but Cadillac. However, the third quarter was a blockbuster quarter for sales as people rushed to buy EVs before the tax credit was eliminated.
Yeah.
We will still see fallout on this. It's not done, and may not be until the next presidential election is over. Okay, we're up to Tuesday, January 20th.
Yeah.
And we have a picture of Donald Trump looking remarkably happy.
Yeah, we're not
His
going to
parade
have
has
that photo
been
up for too long. Too close. We can't go too close on that.
His
But-
parade has been rained on.
Well, this is from ABC News. So EU leaders meet as Trump demands complete and total control of Greenland.
The leaders of all 28 European Union nations will meet this week, quote, considering your country decided not to give me the Nobel Peace Prize for having stopped 8 wars plus, I no longer feel an obligation to think purely of peace, end quote, Trump wrote to the Norwegian Prime Minister. Does he think that the Prime Minister of Norway is the person who decides who the Nobel Prize Committee?
Yes, I think so. I think that's what we're learning from this quote here. Yes.
Okay, let's go on.
Let's go on.
All right, we have a picture of Newark. I thought Newark was a city in New Jersey.
No. No.
It's certainly not this.
No.
That picture is the capital of Greenland.
Yes.
Donald Trump wants to take over the territory of which that is the capital.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nook.
Greenland is big, by the way, but it's not as big relative to the United States as Mercator projections show.
Right.
Because the Mercator projection has a problem.
Well, this one's from ABC News.
Yes.
And the headline here is Breaking Down Trump's Argument for Acquiring Greenland.
Yeah. President Trump has stepped up his pressure campaign to take Greenland, the Arctic island and semi-autonomous territory of NATO ally Denmark, citing U.S. national security needs. He has not ruled out taking it by force over the objections of the Greenlanders and the Danes. And by the way, all the
inhabitants. The inhabitants.
Well, all the countries in NATO.
Oh, well, yeah.
I mean, we would, if we attack Greenland, we're attacking NATO, and all of the countries of NATO are obliged.
And why are we attacking Greenland?
That's a really good question. Now, just to set this in proper perspective, it's security. We have an existing treaty that says we can build military bases in whatever number we want, wherever in Greenland we want to put them. And we can mine minerals from Greenland if we want to do so. That's what the existing treaty, which was signed in 1951, I mean, 1951, Harry Truman was president of the United States. You remember Harry Truman? Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Not personally.
Not personally, but he's the, yeah.
Yeah, this happened when I was about 5 years old. Okay. And, you know, none of this beard had shown up yet.
Not quite yet.
And security? What? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I'm not sure he knows what security is.
Well, one of the things that people cite is the need for rare earth elements. Now, the United States needs rare earth elements, but the United States also has some of the biggest rare earth deposits in the world. And we're not mining them. Why aren't we mining them? Well, that's a good question. It's because we'd rather have the Chinese mine them. Mm-hmm. At least that's what happened in the past. The problem with rare earths is not getting them out of the ground. You've got 17 elements that chemically are almost identical. It's really hard to take them apart. So when I was working when I was 23 years old, in a chemical plant that dealt with rare earth elements, we would buy rare earth. At a time when rare earth oxide cost $7 a pound or something like that, we would buy gadolinium oxide at a price of $37 a pound, $40 a pound, something like that, and then we'd put it through a chemical process where it would be stripped to make gadolinium chloride, and then we'd precipitate gadolinium oxalate out of this, and then we'd fire the gadolinium oxalate to make gadolinium oxide, which is what we started with. But the gadolinium oxide that we end with is different because we've introduced a couple of seed chemicals in there that make it glow a specific color, and what we end with is crystalline, where what we began with was amorphous. And when we'd sell that for $137 a pound. the point is, I know a little bit about,
Yes.
when I die, if they take a look at what's in my lungs, I have no doubt that they will find gadolinium in there.
Right.
But the point is, I know a little bit about this stuff, and the real problem with gadolinium, local gadolinium, is not mining it, which I think Donald Trump thinks he can do in Greenland. It is separating it, which is almost all done in China. The Chinese do all kinds of things that we don't do, like,
Yes.
go on and on. Okay, we should go to the next thing.
Yes.
This
yes.
is from Euronews.
Yeah, so this is the headline here is, in Sweden, organic steel production is already in progress.
Yeah, the blast furnaces at Luleå, Sweden, I don't know how to pronounce that, are saying goodbye to fossil fuels. SSAB, the country's leading steel mill, is pivoting, and I will add slowly, its output to produce environmentally friendly so-called green steel. It's not actually green, it's the same color as any other steel. Free of fossil fuels. We, quote, we will reduce the total carbon dioxide amount emitted to the atmosphere by 7% in Sweden. That's a big change. 7% is substantial. And the Swedes, by the way, have some of the biggest steel mills, or most important steel mills in the world. I had a Swedish friend who explained to me why it was that the Germans never invaded Sweden during the Second World War. And what she said was, they knew that they wouldn't get the steel if they invaded us. And they also knew that if they invaded us, they would be invading a country where everybody has a gun. I mean, everybody. She said in order to go through the high school nursing class, where mostly girls were taught how to dress battle wounds, she had to show a certain proficiency with a submachine gun.
Nice. Okay.
These are the most peaceful people in the world. Okay, we're up to Wednesday, January 21st, and we have a settlement in Greenland here. I don't remember the name of the settlement. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so this is from ABC News. EU leaders talk coordination over Greenland as Trump readies for Davos meetings.
Yeah, and by the way, we know that Trump left Davos saying, I won't do that. The showdown between the United States and its NATO allies over Greenland looks set to be a dominant topic as leaders gather at this week's World Economic Forum event in Davos. President Donald Trump says U.S. ownership of the island is, quote, imperative, end quote. And he left saying he had made an agreement with everybody, and he's not going to invade, and there won't be a war. And
Okay.
I don't know. It doesn't make me feel better hearing that.
No.
But anyway. Okay, I'm going to go on.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
looks like it would be a nice place to live, I think, doesn't it?
It looks nice.
I have a feeling that it's cold in the winter.
Right.
In fact, I have a feeling that it's cold in the summer. Okay, we have a picture of irrigation, and by the way, that is not in California. It looks like California, but it's not. It's in Croatia.
So this is from Euronews. The world has entered an era of global water bankruptcy, UN warns. What does it mean?
A report from the United States University. I didn't even know there was a United Nations University. Did you?
No,
I didn't know.
didn't know that.
Maybe nobody goes there. It's just a research university that turns out papers. Warns that pollution, soil degradation, water over allocation, groundwater depletion, and deforestation have combined with global heating. It's not global warming anymore. That's because it's hotter than global warming, to cause, quote, irreversible damage, end quote, to the planet's water supply. And this is serious. Okay, you have a comment for that?
it's serious. That's
enough.
That's the comment I got.
Okay, I'm going to go on to the next item.
Go on.
This is our last.
This is our last. This is from Renews. NNG launches major seabird monitoring studies.
Okay, I'll tell you. I know how to pronounce Welsh. I do not know how to pronounce Irish. And this is the Neart na Gaeilge. I'm sorry about the pronunciation of that. Offshore. Part of the problem with Gaelic is that letters, and this is also true of Welsh, but in Welsh it's more predictable, at least for me. The pronunciation of a letter changes depending upon its position. It has nothing to do with grammar. All right? And that means that you can have, that's why Irish names, like Shaughnessy or something like that, look so crazy when they're spelled as they're spelled in Ireland, because they're spelled using Irish spelling. Okay, the Neart na Gaeilge, and that TH at the end of Gaeilge or whatever it is could be pronounced as a D or a T or anything, because depending upon the position, that changes.
I mean, that's how words work. When you have something next to something else, it makes a different sound than when it's next to other things.
I'll explain this. If you want to say there is a car in Welsh, you say dyma car. And car, by the way, is a perfectly good Celtic word that got into English from French, from Latin, and the Latin, they got it from people who spoke a Celtic language. If you want to say that there is my car, you say Damanghar. Is that right? No, that's not right. Damavi Carvi. Mm-hmm. Her car, I'm sorry, I'm getting it wrong. Dama, I'm not getting it right. Char or gar, and is it because it is her car or his car? No, it is actually, but it has nothing to do with grammar. These initial letters change. And I'm sorry that I zoned out on how it works, but in Irish, they do that in the middle of words, and it's hard. Okay, the offshore wind farm is launching one of the most comprehensive seabird and marine monitoring studies in Scotland. I'm sorry, this is not Irish, it's Scottish. To gather continuous data on how key bird species behave around operating turbines. The study has a focus on the 450 megawatt project itself. So that's where we are.
That's where we are.
Yeah. And in the past, when they have done this, they've learned a lot. If you have a column of wind turbines and another column of wind turbines, and the birds want to go from here to there, they fly between them. They don't fly through wind turbines.
That's smart.
Yeah, well,
yeah.
You have to be less smart than somebody with a bird brain to make that mistake. The wind turbines have made, have killed some birds, but not a huge number of them. So we have our last slide, which says, have an enchantingly comical week.
Yes, enchantingly comical. Thanks for watching.
I enjoy putting these things together.
They're great.
Yeah. Anyway, okay. Nancy and I will both wave goodbye.
Goodbye.
And we hope that you join us next week, and we hope you enjoy this show, and we hope that you enjoyed the next show. I love that thing about mushrooms.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.